Hi everyone, welcome back. I think in today's video we're going to go over we're going to start talking about things we can do while we're in quarantine, because quite frankly it's going to get very boring very quickly if you don't utilize your time. And it's also going to pass by and you'll have gained nothing out of this. So, in today's video we're going to talk about books. So in a world now where we're staring at screens all day, every day, and because we're home all the time and there is nothing to do but stare at screens all day, every day, we're needing to introduce something that takes our eyes away from the screen, because not all of us can stare at a screen all day without really straining your eyes or just kind of feeling kind of miserable after a while. There's only so much TV you can watch in a day without feeling useless. So the great thing about reading books is it keeps the mind integrated and involved and active. So although you're reading and entertaining yourself, similar to how you'd watch something on the TV, you're actively using parts of your brain to decipher the words that you're reading and to use the imaginative side of your brains to create landscapes, to really absorb and put yourself in the words that you're reading yourself. The good thing during this period of time as well is this is an ideal moment for, if there's just anything you've wanted to improve on or build on yourself, now is the time to start doing it, because you will never get a better time and more time just consistently to work on something than you have right now. At the moment, we're all stuck with nothing to do, which is perfect. That's what you need. 90% of excuses for not working on yourself is from being too busy, which obviously we aren't now because we've all been told to stay at home and there's nothing to do. So ideal. Now, the reason I'm recommending books as opposed to sitting on the internet and reading about all this stuff is, as I said earlier, about keeping your eyes away from screens for a limited amount of time. At the moment, the only active thing we can do at home is do a workout. You can't really go for a long walk inside or anything. So the time you're working out is could be half an hour, could be an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. And that is time where you're not staring at screen. That's good. That's all good and well, but the rest of the day, if you're just staring at screens non-stop, you're eventually going to get burnout, and it's going to eventually start to kind of wear you down a little bit. So the idea with books is to give you a different focus, a different point to work on, something else to look at that isn't just a bunch of bright flashing lights. And obviously in books you've got the advantage of, you've got your fiction and your non-fiction. Both have very good qualities to them. So if we start with the fiction first, fiction is perfect, especially if you're needing to do something that will put you in a restful state before going to bed. Picking up a fiction book, something that's very creative and imaginative, something that encapsulates your brain, is perfect. It allows you for something to focus on and the quietness to overtake the rest of your senses, and allows you to get in a state where you prepare yourself mentally to go to sleep. The other advantage with fiction is that it encapsulates your imagination. So the likes of watching a movie, it's very entertaining but only lasts an hour and a half to 2 hours. Whereas a book is almost the same equivalence, except it can last you multiple days at a time. So it's great for keeping focus on one idea and really developing out a process, rather than just something that's shown to you and you've got to absorb it all in an hour and a half. You can take it at your own pace, at your own time, and read it as you want, and plus it's extremely entertaining. Now we get on to non-fiction, and this is really where, I know it sounds really boring, but this is where the studying happens. This is where you start to kind of grow and develop yourself as a person. Yes, the fiction might give you ideas and concepts, but the idea with non-fiction books is you can physically, tangibly learn and work on something that you might be lacking in at the moment or need to develop further, and gives you the foundation to go away and work and build on, whether it's a skill or a knowledge gap, something that's in your career, something that's in your um, monetary life, anything that you really need to work on, you can more or less find a book that will help you steer you in the right direction. So whether that's anything, let's say skill acquisition, dealing with budgets, how to invest, how to work out, in a home environment, or if you do a quick search, there are tons of videos on bodyweight workouts, alternative workouts, running, cycling, even prison workouts, which is probably actually ideal because we're all technically prisoners in our own houses at the moment. So whatever you're thinking you need to work on, you can find a book for. And the great thing about books is they take the time to explain it bit by bit, and you can repetitively go back to it and underline and do whatever you need to do, absolutely graffiti the book to make sure you got all the bits that you need, and then from there you can develop your knowledge in that section and be able to work on it. And now's the perfect time because you've got nothing else to do. You might as well work on something productive. And lastly, rather than watching TV where you finish whatever you're watching and you're done, and you might feel a little bit empty, getting to the final page in a book is very satisfying. When you finally turn that last page and close the book and you know you've gone from start to finish, there's just something very satisfying about taking a book and word by word slowly take it from start to finish, close it, and now you're that bit more knowledgeable, whether it's a piece of fiction that's giving you new concepts and new perspective on a very niche area, or it's a non-fiction book where you have literally learned something that you didn't know when you first opened that book. And whatever the case is, you've gained something from doing that. Now, for non-fiction books, if you don't really know where to begin as well, there's a few books I've read over the years that I hold close and think they are fantastic reads that anyone should read. Anyone and everyone should read, no matter where you are in life or what you're doing. Now, the first one is The First 20 Hours by Josh Kaufman. How to learn anything fast. And this is about skill acquisition, how to basically start with something and just get stuck, the correct way to just get stuck in, so you get the basics in. That's always the hardest part, is just getting started. So it explains about how to just jump in feet first and get yourself started, because once you start moving, you can get yourself on a roll and the momentum will eventually take you to where you need to be. But to begin with, you need to start. And a lot of the time, a lot of people don't know how to start, so it's a great book for learning that. The second book I would recommend is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. Now, he's got a long line of books, and apart from this book, they are all quite spammy. They don't really contribute very much more, apart from reiterating the same message, just in a different perspective. And in some of his stuff, he is quite full of himself. But this first book, I think, is an absolute gem when it comes to just refiguring your brain on how to think about money, how to process it and understand it, and what money is actually for and what it's supposed to do. So it's a great read just to get your mind corrected about how to view money, and from there how to move forward when looking at money. And the last one, if you've got the stomach for it, is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. Now, this book is a little bit older now, and there have been a number of revisions that you might want to pick up instead, and they are all quite hefty and chunky. So if you've got the stomach, I would 100% recommend reading one. He really delves in deep, almost tediously deep, into all the factors surrounding money and what we as individuals look to get out of possessing more money, and then steps you can take to obviously gain more money. So a lot of it kind of builds into that. And for those of you who don't know anything about Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins is a motivational speaker who tries to focus and empower people to become the best versions of themselves. Just looking for those weak points, and instead of focusing and dwelling on them, is building on them so they can raise it up to where all their strengths are, and then to focus further on your strengths so you can get even stronger at those, and really focus your mindset in the correct direction. And this makes him a very good person, I feel, to speak about money, because he's not acting as a facts and figures guy who's just giving you this is one number, this is another number, how to do the bit in the middle. He's giving you a whole mindset, and he's focusing on how it would affect you as a person and mentally how you need to process it, rather than just someone who's very good at what he does, writing down the numbers and expecting you to keep up. He doesn't think like that. And the whole concept around money and how it affects you and your life as a whole is a very interesting concept to read about, even if it is 700 pages, something like 700 pages. So if you've got a stomach for it, I would highly recommend picking up one of his books. And even if you don't agree with everything that's said, even if some of it's tedious, you always find with a book, you will always gain something out of it. Even if it's just a tiny little snippet of something, or even just a one-liner that just fires some synapses in the brain, there'll always be something you can take away. And that's where I'm going to leave the video. I hope whatever you start reading works out and is enjoyable, and just leave a comment if you start reading something. I need to start reading a bit more myself now. Only other recommendation, obviously we're all in lockdown, so if you've got a Kindle anywhere, or if you don't have one, order a Kindle. It makes life so much easier for getting books, instead of waiting for Amazon to churn around books, or however you're going to get them without leaving the house. At least with a Kindle, you can buy them and just download them there and then. The other beauty I like about a Kindle is I can lay it down, I can read while having food in both hands, because I like to eat. So that's another option, something to think about. But anyway, catch you later.